Valentine's Day, a day of love, surprises, and gifts. A day where people share beautiful moments with those they care about. I had waited all week for the day. The day came. I was inside my room with my roommate in the university campus. My phone rang. It was my boyfriend. He promised me a perfect outing. In fact, it was a day I would never forget. I dressed up, looking perfectly good, feeling excited. I stood in front of my school gate, waiting for him. 5 minutes passed, 10 minutes, 15. No call, no message. I kept checking my phone. Nothing. I started to feel uneasy. Then, out of nowhere, a sleek black car pulled up in front of me. The car was too expensive for me to ignore. The window rolled down, and I saw him. A small man, a dwarf, but everything about him screamed wealth. He was dressed in a neatly tailored suit, wearing gold rings and an expensive wristwatch. He smiled, revealing a gold tooth, and spoke with confidence. "Young lady, I think I like you. Can I take you out? I have money. Whatever you need, I will buy it for you." I should have ignored him. I should have walked away. But my boyfriend was keeping me waiting, and here was a man, rich and ready, offering everything at once. It felt like an opportunity. Just a quick ride, I thought. Just an evening out, nothing serious. Without thinking too much, I opened the door and entered his car. If only I had known what I was walking into. If only I had known this was a ride to hell. The inside of the car was luxurious. Soft music played in the background. He smiled, pleased with himself. He spoke sweetly, telling me about his businesses, his many houses, and how he could take care of me. He asked what I wanted for Valentine's Day. I laughed and said, "Surprise me." He grinned and stepped on the gas. The car moved faster. That was when I started feeling uneasy. The way he looked at me, like I was something he had just purchased, made my heart race. I cleared my throat and asked, "Where exactly are we going?" He chuckled, "Somewhere special. You'll love it." I reached for my phone to check my messages. No network. My hands felt clammy. My instinct screamed, but it was too late. I was already in his car, heading to an unknown destination. We arrived at a massive mansion. The gates opened automatically, and as we drove in, they shut behind us with a heavy thud. My heart pounded. Something wasn't right. He stepped out, signaling for me to follow. "Come in, my dear. This is your home now." My home. My legs refused to move. I wanted to run, but before I could react, two huge men stepped out of the shadows. His bodyguards. No escape. I was trapped. Inside, the house was breathtaking. Golden chandeliers, expensive furniture, and walls decorated with rare paintings. It looked like paradise, but in my heart, I knew it was a trap. He led me to a grand dining table filled with food, grilled chicken, fried rice, exotic fruits, bottles of expensive wine. "Eat," he said. "You'll need your strength." My hands trembled as I picked up a fork. I had lost my appetite, but I forced myself to take a bite, pretending everything was fine. In my mind, I was praying, begging God to get me out of there, that I would never try to be wayward again in this my life and even in the life to come. After dinner, he stood up and stretched his hand toward me. "Come," he said. "I want to show you something." My body refused to move, but the two bodyguards behind me made sure I had no choice. I followed him down a dimly lit hallway. We stopped in front of a massive wooden door. My stomach twisted. He opened it, and what I saw inside made my blood run cold. The room was dark, lit only by flickering candles. Strange symbols were drawn on the floor. In the center, a large red cloth was spread out, with an open book beside it. The air smelled of something rotten, mixed with the heavy scent of incense. My hands shook. I stepped back. "What is this?" I whispered. He smiled. "You are special," he said. "I chose you for a reason. After tonight, you will belong to me forever." Tears filled my eyes. I wanted to run, but my legs wouldn't move. He clapped his hands, and the two bodyguards stepped closer. "Now, lie down," he ordered. My breathing became ragged. My heart pounded in my chest. "Please," I whispered. "Please let me go." He only laughed. He was enjoying my fear. And then, just as I thought my life was over, it happened that a loud knock came on the door. Hope knocked. Literally, everyone turned. A small child stood at the entrance. She was barefoot, her clothes tattered. Her hair was rough, and she looked no older than 10. "Please, sir," she said, her voice tiny and weak. "I am hungry." The dwarf man's face darkened. He snapped his fingers, and the guards moved toward her. "Get rid of her," he ordered. But as they reached for her, she suddenly lifted her hands and began to pray, speaking in an unknown language, her voice rising, powerful, unstoppable. At first, it was just words. Then the air in the room shifted. The bodyguard staggered back. The dwarf man screamed, covering his ears. The symbols on the floor started to fade. The candles flickered violently. The air became heavy, charged with something unseen but powerful. My heart raced. I didn't understand what was happening, but I didn't need to. All I knew was that I had a chance to escape. With all the strength in me, I turned and ran. I ran past the dining room, past the golden chandeliers. Reaching the gate, it opened on its own accord. I ran into the night, into the busy streets, where the lights of passing cars felt like salvation. I collapsed on the roadside, gasping for breath. People gathered around me, asking questions, offering help. I couldn't speak. I could still feel his eyes on me, not the way he had looked at me like I was prey. If not for that little girl, I would have been gone forever. That night, I made a vow. I vowed never to be wayward again in my life if God saved me today.